Welcome back, everybody. It is finally time for our grand finals, and I'm pretty excited about this one. In round one of this very tournament, we got to see CaspianPike versus Gerald in a very close set. Well, we just saw CaspianPike defeat Caleb Peng to get a chance in the finals, and now we see Gerald, who was able to dethrone our undefeated bracket Demon K Pine and make it to the finals of this cup. So we are going to have a rematch for all the marbles in our grand finals.
It was.
Oh boy. So, once again from Gerald we see the beautiful double Sire core combined with the double flyers, Feraligatr on the flex slot, and Wigglytuff, Quag, Empoleon, Medicham, Fortress, Guzzlord for CaspianPike. Do we see, I don't know if we'll see the same thing we saw in set number one. I don't know what kind of adjustments Gerald has been thinking about during his bracket run. Maybe getting a chance at this moment. We'll see. I'd still agree that Feraligatr as a safe swap is a little bit of a risky proposition if you're Gerald. It might be tough. Then that kind of invites Fortress to come in. Even though you have that double Sire team from Gerald, do you take a chance on Fortress getting alignment, finding that Wigglytuff, being able to maybe farm down that Feraligatr and land a bunch of super effective Sand Tombs into the Quad Sire, which, as we saw, just cannot quite Poison Sting down. It's always pretty much going to have to throw a charge move to get rid of you. So, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see here, but I'm pretty excited to find out. Looks like we have a lock-in on one side, and it looks like we're getting into the battle here. So, on the one side, we see a massive lead for Gerald. Clodsire picking up the Fortress lead, has to force in a Quag straight away. Gerald maybe not expecting to see the hardest Clodsire counter switched in so freely like that, so gonna end up sending in his own Quagsire, a little bit down in energy, so the ball is now firmly in CaspianPike's court. He's gonna be able to probably realign here if he really wants to. I doubt Gerald's incentivized to shield twice just to maintain alignment, because that could put his backline in the bad spot. But at the same time, you have to shield one of these. You can't just lose this matchup for free. We'll see two more Aqua Tails before throwing from Gerald. No, going for three. Going for four. Going one over is CaspianPike, expecting a cap tie, but Gerald just keeps farming up, going for the back-to-back. Really interesting call. Now CaspianPike gets the mirror, gets the cap tie, is going to be able to knock out. Gerald's going to double down. Really wants to push switch advantage here. Helps that he knows he wins the tie on the opposing Quag, but he still can't outpace, so this is still a guaranteed matchup win for CaspianPike, except he goes for the extra. And we know he loses the cap tie, so he can't win this cap tie. Is Gerald going to be able to get this switch for free? No, he's going to opt to catch here. Going for a catch instead on the Corviknight. Oh boy, so now that invites Fortress to come right back in. First gonna bank up some energy on the Quag, because that could never be wasteful. And here comes Fortress, and this might be in a single Rock Tomb downrange after a single Rock Tomb and Volt Switch downrange. This is not a Shadow Fortress. It's going to be able to handle a lot of this energy. He can maybe even overfarm CaspianPike before throwing this Rock Tomb. He's going to overfarm maybe a little more than he wanted to. But that's fine, because you can completely absorb this Air Cutter. A Rock Tomb and maybe one more Volt Switch should be enough to knock out, for sure. And so as bad as that matchup was, here's Quad is going to have to come in and take a bunch of Sand Tomb damage here, and it's never going to Poison Sting down. We've seen that. That's how the first set ended. But things are going to get a little weird here for Gerald, I would say. He's going to have to tank up as much of this damage as he can, and then just hope he has enough energy to deal with whatever the third thing in the back is, which is going to turn out to be Guzzlord. And Guzzlord, I don't think dies to 2 Stone Edge. I think you need 2 Earthquakes, or at least an Earthquake and a Stone Edge to knock it out fully. Here comes the combo play from CaspianPike, actually. Wow, CaspianPike able to get the snipe. Gerald was maybe sort of expecting it, but couldn't react in time. And now the quad, oh man, the quad sire, that hurts to see. The quad sire just goes down. All that energy goes to waste, and now there's just no way to get rid of this Guzzlord, so. Huge quick play from CaspianPike. Gerald maybe thinking about that play, but couldn't commit to a catch himself or throwing a move. Gonna be a little tough. And CaspianPike has the edge here going into game number 2. So, even with that lead, even with that horrible lead of Volt Switch Fortress into Clodsire, CaspianPike's Quagsire was able to bail him out. And to be fair, as Gerald, what do you really swap into to counteract the Quagsire safe swap? The best thing you maybe have available if you chose not to bring Feraligatr is the Corviknight. And I guess maybe he felt he swapped in a little too slowly. Probably regretted the switch to Quagsire as soon as he made it, rather than going to Corv. It's tough. It's tough sometimes. Sometimes you're pretty sure the one thing your opponent's not going to do is stay switch the hardest counter to what you've led. So sometimes when that happens, you get a little flustered, you're not sure where to go. Gerald probably wants that one back, but he's still got a chance to flip the script in game 2. And what do we see as an adjustment? It's hard to make an adjustment as Gerald because in theory you had exactly what you needed in that game. You had the lead you wanted. You had a Corviknight that could have maybe responded to the Quag, but also thought better of it ultimately. One thing is for sure, we are not going to see a Quag brought in down energy a second time. I don't believe. So as Gerald, you take a chance on Feraligatr here. Yes, there's Guzzlord to deal with. Yes, there's Volt Switch Fortress, which clearly has a lot of play. Volt Switch Fortress is clearly not as afraid of Clodsire as we thought. But is Feraligatr maybe the play? As long as you swap it in pretty quickly against a Quagsire counter swap, you can pretty safely win that matchup. You can live a Stone Edge. It's not fun, but you can survive it. What is the adjustment here? One lock in, we see another. A little more thought going into the team comp. Now we have our lock-ins for game 2, so let's see what we've got. We've got a Wigglytuff lead into an Empoleon, and this is pretty disastrous for Gerald. How is he going to maneuver his way out of this one? Takes a chance on the Altair safe swap, and fortunately for him, there's no Wigglytuff to counteract that, so CaspianPike going to be forced to maybe soften this up and then pivot into something else. Although the issue here for CaspianPike is, what can you really bring in? You can't bring in the Fortress now that you're down this much energy. And you really don't want to bring in the Quag that does no damage with the Mud Shots. CaspianPike going to elect to just stay in here and see what he can get out of this matchup. And trust in his Volt Switch Fortress to deal with that Wigglytuff later. And to be fair, that Volt Switch Fortress is going to absolutely cook Gerald's backline. There's no Quag to stop it. There's no Claude to stop it. It's just going to have pure, super effective, and or neutral Volt Switches. And it's going to resist all the charm damage. So CaspianPike looks like he's, even with not being able to keep that lead matchup that he might have liked, he's still going to be able to maintain a pretty good alignment here. The only issue is here, Gerald is maybe going to double down and force switch. Because there's a lot of health. No, just going to keep the shield up. Going to trust in Feraligatr here with up some energy, and that is probably the play he needs. He can take one of these drill techs, no problem. But he's going to opt to shield it. Oh, brings in the Quag straight away, and this is a good matchup for Feraligatr, so Gerald's not inclined to switch out. There is the switch out. And a massive call from Gerald, calling that Fortress in the back maybe, getting that, keeping the energy on that Feraligatr, keeping it up, and getting some utility out of this Wigglytuff, because now it forces out another move from CaspianPike. I don't think the Aqua Tail's quite enough to get it. I don't think the Aqua Tail's quite enough to get it here. Is the switch timer up for CaspianPike? It's not! Oh, but not enough to get the Swift. Which is a little brutal for Gerald, but he knows with his counts he can safely throw this Hydro Cannon here. Doesn't have to take a Stone Edge. Are 2 Hydro Cannons going to be able to take out that Our 2 Hydro Cannons going to be able to take out that fortress. It's a non-shadow fortress, and you really want to save up a lot of energy to maybe... You still need to have energy in the back to deal with the Empoleon, which will always win the cap tie against the Gator. 2 are safely going to be able to knock out here. Going to take this move. Gerald, not liking his prospects here, knows he's got a really hard task ahead of him. Has to throw... Can only afford to throw 1 move here. Okay, just... And throws straight away. Straight away into the Empoleon. We're going to see maybe an undercharge here. Is this enough? It's not enough. You have to be 1 away from the Hydro Cannon, and he's 1 short. So not quite. Really precise endgame from CaspianPike. Really well played. He's going to be able to take this one 2-0, and he's going to be the champion of our Pico Rivera Psycho Turtle Cup. Congrats to him. The Shadow Fortress really showing what it was made of in that Grand Finals. Didn't even care that it was matched up into the Clodsire, and it cooked in Game 2. Nothing to stop it. Very, very close matchup. And that brings us to the end of our cup, but it's not the end of our local events. Coming up, we have a challenge during which we'll see the casting of one Caleb Peng and somebody who you may have never seen behind the desk before. And I'm excited to see what happens. So until we get that set up, stick with us.